Hello and welcome to the third in a series of webinars from OREN. I'm Angelina Mehta, Director of Mining Investment Banking in Montreal for Laurentian Bank Securities. My background is mining engineering, and I started my career in operations working in open pit iron ore with some experience underground in gold and nickel. I subsequently switched to finance after my MBA and found myself in private equity, looking at projects globally and making investments on behalf of a natural resources fund. While most of the companies I looked at were early stage, the importance of innovation and capital efficiency were significant, and they could lead to real returns for investors. I'm currently in investment banking with Laurentian Bank, where I try to match good ideas with the right people and the best fit for capital. And while I'm not an expert in technology, I can appreciate how strategic use of new digital tools can greatly improve our industry at all stages, including exploration, development, and particularly producing mines. So today I'm delighted to be showcasing the work OREN's founders, Shell and IBM, are doing to support the mining industry and accelerate its digital transformation to better resource the future. Today, we'll be discovering new and innovative digital twin mining solutions. In pursuit of that goal, Shell and IBM have combined strengths to create the first B2B marketplace for mining and industrial sectors. The OREN marketplace offers solutions, software, services, and integrated workflows to accelerate digital and sustainability transformation across the end-to-end value chain. A little bit of background on Shell, a leader in energy and lubricant services, boasting a strong B2B mining and industrial ecosystem relationships, and over 100 years experience in industrial operations with a global integrated value chain. IBM is a leader in cloud, AI, data, and analytic solutions. Offering proven mining and industrial digital services, the company has been on a quest for new technologies and global innovations throughout its 100-year-plus history. In today's webinar, we will examine how digital twins can harness data and, with the use of VR, AR, and 3D, provide a virtual simulator of mining operations. This carbon copy allows engineers and managers to manipulate data to see how any changes will affect both up and downstream processes. And this clever approach to optimization offers the ability to assess the impact of changes in the mining process with no risk to the actual operation. We'll hear from three sellers on the OREN marketplace, LlamaZOO, Clario Technologies, and RedEye, and learn how they can support mining's quest to extract resources efficiently, sustainably, and cost-effectively using the power of digital twins. During the webinar, if you have any questions, please let us know in the chat. And now I'm delighted to welcome our speaker, IBM's AI Applications European Industry Solutions Executive, Colin Williams.
Hi, Angelina. Hi, everybody. And thank you ever so much for committing time to listen to this. I hope it's a truly inspiring webinar with full of content of interest. And yeah, looking forward to this. My role within IBM is to help organizations transform through digital technologies. Some of the areas I'm looking into within industry, obviously in mining, oil and gas, and asset-intensive industries, where companies are looking to create a strategy to help drive this digital journey, align around strategies such as digital twin, but also align on strategies of how we create optimization within operations across the value chain of their industry. So it's not just about technology, but it's a combination of getting a change program which will adopt technology, change cultures, and align new processes or upgrade evolved processes to meet the needs of their future business operating model.
I mean, Colin, this is a fascinating topic for me, right? Because as an investor, I want to see that mining companies are actually engaging in a thought process which will ultimately bring about a digital transformation. One of my major focuses is for new companies before they start their journey is to engage in these discussions and studies, because once you're an operating mine, as you said, capital intensive, it can be a lot harder to do a transformation, right? So that's that interest point for me anyway is to see how we can engage companies into this thinking before they're too far down the track on capital investment.
Yeah, and
I know that's not on the list of questions or anything, but I think what you do is super cool.
Well, you know, I'm happy to engage as we go along here, and I think what we do see within the mining is that there is a pressure on operational excellence, but there is this pressure of digitalization where other industries have steamrolled ahead, and the mining has been left behind. So what's really nice about this, mining industry isn't really caught up in all the old technology. It's jumping straight in to what's new and what's, you know, been built up and evolved after many, many years. And I think it's in a prime perspective. It reminds me very much when we went from 2G to 4G, and the evolving countries didn't have to play around with all that old existing infrastructure.
Right.
And it evolved and innovated quicker than anybody else.
Right on. Well, I think about a developing country like India that went from not everybody having a landline to everybody having a cell phone, right? Yeah. And do you think, though, in the mining industry, having had that gap in technology is a problem or an advantage? Because to your point, it skips the...
I think it truly is an advantage, both because of cost. You haven't burnt your investments earlier. But also that, you know, with technology, it changes so rapidly. You get stuck because you made the investment in old technology and you try to use that technology to the best of ability. But because the infrastructure of technology today has changed so much, you're not really locked into that older investment. So you're, as I say to a lot of companies today have locked data. With new infrastructures, you're unlocking that data. So leapfrogging the past 10 years of technology is a good thing.
Okay. All right. I know we could probably chat for a long time, Colin, because I remember years of working in an open pit mine where we collected so much data, and our weakness was that we didn't have the time or the ability to analyze it properly. And so now with AI, not only can you analyze it, but you can do things in real time. And I love that aspect of not actually risking the operation. So I think we're on the right path.
Well, it's nice to have this little chat. Now we've got a little bit of chemistry going on, so hopefully it becomes a little bit more relaxed and we're aligned. So,
why is digital twin technology set to disrupt the mining industry?
Well, I think digital twin technology should be positioned into a wider focus around digitalization. The digital twin is a component of technology, but we will feed off many other different modules of the digitalization discussion. Disruption comes from how do we improve operations? How do I keep a profit within my business? How do I keep my business safe? So if I look into the digital twin and how it's going to disrupt, obviously you need to look at the competition. If there's competition already applying digital and digital twin capabilities, they may be seeing effects around improving their profit, their operational excellence, improving safety. So we need to look at the competition. But if I look internally within a mining organization, the digital twin won't just disrupt the operations, it will maybe disrupt the whole business model of how I do my value from the port, or from the mine to the port, where I interlock capabilities to really provide me an efficiency on what I'm trying to do. So if we take exploration, how can I use a digital twin of that geospacing area to predict where it's best to mine? If I look into the extraction, obviously the extraction needs to be optimized in such a way that it's going to bring efficiency on there. And then through processing and logistics, we will see efficiencies being supported by a digital twin, which will not just disrupt our end business, but also will disrupt a little bit of how people are engaging and accepting digital transformation. So it's not just about applying technology. How do I get humans to accept and work with technology, which will be disrupting within the mining? And for those who will lead digitalization and accept change, they will start disrupting their competitors.
How can digital twins help synthesize the various silos of data that mining companies collect? And in my own experience, you have an open pit mine that collects its data. You have a transport system that gets it to downstream mill or mining. They have their own set of data that they use, and then off to the port, if you will. But there's no interaction between those sets of data. So is that what you mean?
I think there's obviously the transparency needed. So let's just take one step back and think, what is a digital twin? What are the basics of technology needed to make that twin not just a ghost, but to evolve it as a living virtual reality of a physical asset? And you're going to need technologies in the infrastructure to support it, to capture that data. So you're going to be having sensor-driven data.
Right.
It's got to be located into a cloud environment for transparency and sharing. You've got to be able to bring IoT on the top of it. You've got to bring virtual reality on top of it if you want visualization. And you need this transparency of collecting and collaborating data around an asset through its full life cycle. So really, the digital twin will only be an accurate view if you've got a digital thread. And that digital thread is the revision of that physical asset in the virtual world being updated all the time. And I think what we see in mining is that the digital twin has two parts. We have the mining operations, but we have the OEMs who are creating assets for the mining. Now, the OEMs have been on the digital twin journey for a long time, and they're sort of packaging digital twins as their next generation of documentation, which align to the asset. So if I was an OEM, I would be creating my physical asset, but I would be selling the digital twin as a documentation of that physical asset, so you can improve the support of that in the maintenance and operation phases, as you would rely on documentation, knowledge, and experiences today. So I think the OEMs are already ongoing. They're already creating twins of their specific asset, but the mining operations, they have a view of an integrated operations built up of many different types of assets coming from different vendors, and you need to secure the weakest link. So you've really got to cover lots of different aspects. That will become a lot more complex and more challenging than just creating a twin around a simplified or a product ID. So lots of different comparisons which will take place in the mining industry around digital twins. But what is it? Where's it coming from? How do I collaborate around this? Is going to be a very fascinating future.
Right on. So I know this is a broad question again, but what benefits can mining companies expect to realize by creating a simulation of their operations with a digital twin?
Well, the benefits which we obviously can see, and let me just drop back to what content will we be getting out from a digital twin, to understand how you drive those to benefits. Now, you're going to be looking at a twin all the way through as they're designed, as they're built, they're commissioned, operated, maintained, decommissioned. And that's going to be creating a content around performance. Now, when you look at the benefits of being able to simulate, optimize, and understand your operations and assets in much more detail, you'll be able to start looking into what type of benefits you can get out from there. And obviously, optimization is the key word here. How do I optimize my operations? How do I optimize the utilization of the assets? How do I optimize my workers in the best possible way? So digital twins will be creating a huge benefit of being able to simulate different scenarios in production optimization, being able to predict failure, keep uptime as optimal as possible, and decrease downtimes of assets through the digital twin and that living orientation of the twin, which will give me predictive insights of the performance of those assets in the future. We'll also be able to connect that of the health of the fleet in realization to the optimization of spare part inventory. So I can connect different parts of the twin information to drive different modules of efficiency and optimization through different parts of the alignment. Then the big benefit, how do I bring autonomous into mining? And really, if you're going to have autonomous, you may have a virtual operations room. You know, you can have, like I know in the oil and gas, onshore operation suites looking over unmanned platforms. That's where mining is going to get to as well, that you have this remote center for operations, controlling a mine which is built up of autonomous robots and equipment, doing the purpose of what mining is today. Now, digital twins will all play a part into that because you'll be able to simulate, understand, and manage the performance of that mine and optimize the efficiency of that mine in total different ways.
No, and I'm happy to know that the mining industry has already developed certain remote operation centers. I mean, we know that Rio Tinto in Australia is doing that. ArcelorMittal here in Quebec has a remote operating center. So I think we're on our way. But what I was hearing you say, because I'm always thinking about the investor perspective, is cost. Ultimately, optimization can be translated into cost. And from a full stakeholder perspective, you talk about maintenance as well, but also people. Do you think, and I know this is an official question, but do you think there's a safety component here too?
It has to be a safety component, especially in this type of industry. And obviously, as you bring autonomous capabilities into mining, maybe you're reducing the actual need of people going down underground or in a risk zone. And I think that's where we'll see digital twins and autonomous capabilities coming really into a perspective that we can simulate processes, we can simulate assets, we can identify risks within the process, and we can also remove risks by automating capabilities a lot more. Understanding the health of assets, you know, just today, we know that within mining, a lot of incidents take place due to the maintenance of equipment. Now, if you have a digital twin aligned with IoT, providing sensor data of the health of that asset, you can use that to really help define, is it safe for working operations or not, and have a lot more control behind things. So HSC and safety is obviously a key part of this. Also, sustainability for the environment.
Right.
You know, at the end of the day, if you can optimize your operations just within production optimization, we've done a little bit of work of how do I optimize the right energy consumption for a steel mill process, for the melt shop. Now, melt shops today are hugely driven on energy. Now, if you can optimize that melt shop with the help of digital capabilities, you can reduce CO2 and improve energy consumption and sustain environment a lot better.
And that's so important for our industry. I have one last question here. I think we've touched on it a little bit. What is your prediction for how digital twin technology will transform the mining industry? Would it relate to the things we've already spoken about, for example, remote operations, a reduced environmental footprint, reduced cost, or even a better perception from the public about what mining is and how it operates? What do you think?
I think it's going to meet all those areas. What we haven't touched upon is knowledge. And as we evolve with digital twins, as we evolve with capturing knowledge around the assets, the operations, the process, and can virtualize that in like a gaming theme, what we're doing, we're building up a knowledge bank. And that knowledge bank will continue to evolve through generations of workers. Now, what happens today without digital twins, we live very much in a manual work, that process operations, asset and maintenance operations, exploration operations are driven very much by competence within an individual to make the right decisions.
Yeah.
So when you start bringing the digital twin together with AI, what we will do is get a guided assistance on that knowledge bank through the digital twin to help us make the right decisions. And I think that's going to be a huge need as we move forward and as we look at the demographics of the workforce within mining. We've got to start catering for the next generation, and we've got to be able to document these mines and processes and assets, not just for 5 years, 10 years, but these are in process for 50 years. And that's where I believe the digital twins for the future will come in. I think also mining will have to go into new environments. And the environments which are coming, they won't be on the surface. They won't be down under the ground, under the meters, what we have today. They could be undersea mining. It could be a planet in the
on Mars
for mining. The only way we're going to get there is being able to virtually digitalize operations through concepts like digital twin.
This was fascinating, Colin. I feel like I'm a lot smarter now than I was at the beginning of this conversation. Thank you so much for educating all of us on the benefits and the applications for digital twinning in mining.
Well, thank you ever so much.
Now let's take a look at some of the solutions offered on the OREN marketplace that can help mining companies leverage the power of digital twins in their operations. LlamaZOO is an award-winning mixed reality, which is VR, AR, and 3D, data visualization company, providing productivity software to the natural resources sectors. Users of their product, called Mine Life, can create digital twins of their sites or facilities, enabling all stakeholders, regardless of discipline or skill, to benefit from an immersive data-rich platform. Here's Jay Milroy, LlamaZOO's Senior Product Manager and Innovation Facilitator, to tell us more.
Yeah, so my name's Jay Milroy, and I'm the Director of Products at LlamaZOO.com. My role at LlamaZOO really is to define the future of our digital twin technology and software products that we offer. And in terms of our background in the industry, in the mining industry, I've been in the software product business for over 25 years. And I joined LlamaZOO a little under a year ago. And LlamaZOO's got very, very strong in-house mining experience. And I bring to the table some experience from the energy sector, from the retail sector, also from financial services. A digital twin, I think the term was coined by NASA back in the early 2000s. And at its most basic definition, it's a virtual or digital representation of a real world object or a process. Or you can think of it as a potential real world product or process, something that's going to be brought into existence in the future. And the use cases for digital twins, they've really expanded dramatically recently. And they kind of started out in the area of product design. So you'd have a digital representation of a object or a product, and it would go through a series of design iterations before you invest in making it a real thing in the real world. And what's driving the expansion of these use cases is the related technologies. So in LlamaZOO's case, the mixed realities, virtual reality and augmented reality, combined with all of the other stuff that's happening in the industry, cloud, big data, IoT, putting sensors on everything, AI, 5G, all of these things are helping to drive the digital twin sort of technology sector. I think the application of digital twin sort of twinning technology and some of the emerging related technologies that LlamaZOO is using, like VR and AR, is gone through a series of sophistication steps, I guess you'd call it. Starting with, I would say the first application in mining, and the one we're seeing the most of in terms of engagement, is stakeholder engagement and communication. One of the biggest challenges in the resources sector is gaining social license to operate. before you're allowed to, mine or cut down trees or all of those kinds of things, there's a very large and important communication process that you have to go through with all of your stakeholders, including internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. So that having the ability to create the right kind of visuals, create the right kind of communication experiences for everybody involved in that is really, really important. So I think that's the first application of digital twin within the mining sector broadly. The second one is doing the mine planning, having a common operating picture for all the people and all of the disciplines within and outside of the organization to collaborate around. Having a contextual understanding of the mine plan as a whole, having that sort of central common understanding amongst everybody. Those who adopt early kind of gain the benefit of knowledge about the technology and how it's evolving and the expertise that goes along with it. And that can often turn into, competitive advantage in different ways. And in some cases, real advantages that they can sustain over time. So I really think the technology and the industry are kind of really suited to one another in terms of their ability, in terms of its applicability to what's happening. That in turn turns into better communication, better engagement among stakeholders. And when you have that, you make better decisions and you make those decisions faster. We know in the resources sector, projects take a really long time to get off the ground. They run for many, 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 many years. And so, anything that can speed decisions and improve decisions, they can have a lasting impact. LlamaZOO's Mine Life product is two things really combined. One is it's a data platform, a data management platform, and it's also a visualization platform. And so these two things together, which allow you to bring data into the product and then visualize it in various ways, either in a full VR type of way or in an augmented reality way, or just in a three-dimensional experience on your desktop. Those things, what that really allows our customers to do is put data in context that normally doesn't live together. We've seen in projects before where we're visualizing data in a digital twin that's never been seen together with other data sets. And so rather than putting that kind of cognitive load on your stakeholders to make sense of data from different sources in different formats, what we're doing is we're putting it in an environment where everybody, regardless of your domain expertise or what you're interested in, you gain more out of the experience by having that kind of common operating picture that is data rich from various sources. LlamaZOO works with tech resources, and I think one of the projects that comes to mind when we're talking about using digital twins to improve stakeholder communications and gain alignment amongst various stakeholders is the tech resources Newmont Mining joint venture. And so what we did for that project was we created a digital twin of Galore Creek, and we brought together 60 years of data. And as I said before, some of this data had never really been sort of seen in context or with other data sets that we brought in. And so that digital twin of that Galore Creek project, it became the rallying point and the kind of single source of the truth for all of the stakeholders who were involved in who were interested in that project. And what it really helped to do in the end was, I think Tech said that it accelerated their eventual partnership by over a year and a half, I think they saved in terms of getting to an end state nobody had to do any travel to out to the site specifically, because they could, much of what they had to do, they could do in the digital twin. And then sort of one of the interesting significant side benefits is because you accelerate your timeline, they saved $4 million in mineral and licensing leasing fees. I think the future is very exciting for digital twin technology. It's one of those things where I think we're going to look back at all kinds of activities that we're doing today and kind of wonder how we did them without a digital twin. I think we'll remember kind of standing around a boardroom table or standing in front of a monitor pointing at kind of a 2D map, or trying to imagine what a business process looks like or feels like from data off of a spreadsheet. I think all of these things are going to seem really, really archaic in the very near future. And so, like all technologies, digital twin technologies and the related technologies, they're progressing dramatically and rapidly. The combination of AI, IoT, 5G, VR, AR, these are all going to combine into more and more powerful systems. And I think digital twin's just going to be among them. Yeah, the OREN marketplace for us is fabulous. Anytime you can sort of find a community or an environment where you've got all of the kind of right minds in the right place, that's exciting, because you're going to have the right kinds of conversations with the right kinds of people. So that's significant just from a reaching the right people standpoint. I think the other thing that's important about the OREN marketplace, and that's exciting to us, is LlamaZOO's very good at doing digital twin technology and building digital twins. We want to stick to our knitting, and that means that we need partnerships and we need collaborations with people who do the other things that are around us. So these communities of related technologies within the context of a particular industry are super important. Not only will we find the right kinds of customers through the OREN marketplace, we'll also find the right kinds of partners, to help evolve this over time.
Thanks, Jay. Next, we will learn about the ADA platform from Clerio Technologies, which combines geology, geocivil and mining engineering data, geomatics, survey and GIS data, geotechnical designs, simulations and CAD, and real-time computer graphics into a mixed reality environment. Technical experts and other stakeholders can interact in this virtual environment from any angle at any point in time, past, present, or future, enabling them to see what was missed in two-dimensional views. Let's get the lowdown from Clerio's Director of Sales and Marketing, Keith Lay.
My name is Keith Lay. I'm the Sales and Marketing Director for Clerio Technologies. And Clerio is bringing to the market the ADA platform, which is our software that allows mining companies and other large-scale industrials to take the 3D data that they're working with already and turn it into a true 3D holographic digital twin of their project site. And we're very excited to bring that into the market, very excited to work with the OREN platform to get that into the right hands. A digital twin is sort of going beyond just working with 3D data. So, today lots of operators are working with 3D data, but they're doing it in a context of a flat two-dimensional screen. So a digital twin basically takes that CAD file or 3D model or subsurface data and actually represents it as a true three-dimensional hologram, hopefully either in a mixed reality or virtual reality space, but also at a one-to-one scale. So the advantage of a digital twin is that stakeholders can actually interact with the model. It's not just looking at it on a flat screen or looking at it through a predetermined fly-through. It's actually having that one-to-one scale. It's having that ability to actually move or physically move around, interact with, and share that data remotely. If you look back 10 or more years ago, you would sort of see attempts at creating a digital twin through the control room. So you would have, the large scale control rooms, especially in the big mining operations, And that would be a way for operators to remotely monitor operations or monitor particular pieces of equipment. But it was, again, interacting with that data in a very sort of flat 2D way that you would be sort of removed from that data. So the evolution is putting the decision makers, putting the operators literally right into the middle of their data. Well, it's going to be the absolute future, not even that far off, really, in terms of how mining operations are going to work. So operators are going to want to start looking at moving in that direction to kind of be in the state of the art in terms of how that world's going to go. But it takes so many different people into account and gives them the correct information to make decisions. So if you think about it from the perspective of from a prospecting perspective right through to social license, the digital twin is going to play a role. You have now so many different stakeholders that are involved in decisions around mining projects. The digital twin is the way to actually get all of those different levels of stakeholders involved. And that can be technical people. You can have your actual engineers gaining advantage from seeing things that they weren't seeing before, being able to make faster decisions, clearer decisions, getting all the engineers on a common operating platform in terms of understanding either the operational or the prospecting aspects of what's happening with the mining project, right through to non-technical stakeholders. So if you've got people that don't have the engineering background, but they still have a say in whether your project can move forward or not, the digital twin is going to help those people have an understanding of what's happening as well. The digital twin is a really excellent way to bring a lot of different people on board in that process at every step. So where we've taken the ADA platform to is it's now a cloud-based, browser-based system in which you literally just drag and drop the 3D data that you're working with already, and it will, within a few minutes, convert that into the actual holographic digital twin. And we knew that that's where the industry was going, and we needed to get there as soon as possible, and we're there now. You have your engineers within your organization, you have your operators within your organization. They're going to have different levels of technical knowledge, but they're all going to be working with 3D data. And so maybe they're working with GIS, maybe they're working with CAD, maybe they're working with photogrammetry from drones on the site, maybe they're working from LiDAR, maybe they're working with subsurface data. Regardless of what 3D data you're working with already, you literally just drag and drop that into our cloud-based tool, and it will just convert that into your holographic digital twin. Here in Canada, we have a project that we're working on. This is a $1 billion reclamation project in Canada's north. And this was a project that was a gold mine for about 80 years. It was, done in the before times where, the level of consideration that we have today in terms of operations and reclamation weren't quite in vogue then as they were now 80 years ago. And so as a result, there's a large reclamation need. There's approximately 270,000 metric tons of arsenic trioxide left as a byproduct of the mining, which, as you can imagine, is a bit of a substantial potential risk for the area and the people in the area. And it's going to have a large impact on the First Nations communities, on the people that live in the immediate area. It's also a very technical situation. Obviously, to get people on board with understanding what the technical reclamation solution is going to be, you can't just put them, on a bus and drive them to the underground. It's not a feasible solution. So what we've done is we've created an entire digital twin of the underground mine showing the future reclamation plan, the technical solution, which is basically to freeze the arsenic in place. And we do these public consultation events where people put on the HoloLens and they can actually go right underground. They can actually see what the extent of the mining was. They can get an understanding of the scope of that. And they can also get a really clear view of how the technical solution is going to work. We can also represent different periods of time. So we can actually take people 20 years in the future, and we'll actually put them on the landscape where the mine was, where the tailings ponds were, where the open pits were, all of the scars on the landscape exist today, and we can actually show them the area after the reclamation plan has been complete. So this is something that is taking people from having a really emotional reaction to something that is very much a potential crisis that lives literally in their backyard, and then showing them the current plan and the future outcome of that plan in a way that they can have an understanding of that and have confidence and peace of mind to approve the project moving forward and really get that problem solved. Well, I think, when you look at the fact that regulatory, investor, and public opinion pressures are very real on mining operators, especially if you're starting off on a new proposed project. And as a result, there's much less room than ever for any sort of miscalculation on that project, whether it's proposed or operational. And so an effective digital twin is really going to help you navigate those challenges. If you need to either get your investors on board, if you need to get your operators and engineers understanding the scope of the project that you're either proposing or currently working on, if you need to gain social license and approval on your construction, on your tailing storage, on your operation, on your closure plans, all of this can be achieved much more efficiently, effectively by using digital twins to communicate those plans. Clerio has had some early success with implementing the ADA platform with some high-profile clients. We really recognize that we need to have an amplifier to help us tell our story to a larger and wider audience. We're excited about the OREN platform because their expertise and their connection to this marketplace and their sales network is really, I think, the proven track record that we're going to need to bring in to help us amplify our story into that marketplace. And so far, we've also been really impressed that they've brought together a very talented and expert team to build out the platform so far. Like it's been done at an extremely high level with a lot of knowledge and a lot of consideration as to what that marketplace is going to need and understand. So we were honored and very excited to have been chosen to be part of the platform in its inaugural launch. And I think OREN's really set it up to create success for us in that area.
Our final technology that we'd like to learn more about is RedEye, an Australian tech company founded in 2012 with the goal of helping large, complex asset owners and critical infrastructure operators improve asset safety and performance. Today, RedEye has a global presence helping its clients manage over $250 billion of large complex assets and critical infrastructure using its purpose-built cloud and mobile asset data management and work management solutions. Let's learn more from RedEye's Technical Director, Jason Lancelot.
Yes, I'm Jason Lancelot, so I'm working with RedEye as the technical director, and my background's really around sort of design and BIM and digital engineering, that sort of thing. And RedEye itself is a digital engineering solutions provider. We really sort of provide to critical asset owners, so that's usually our sort of core market. We tend to try and help our clients sort of find their data quickly, easily, to sort of do some work on their assets as well. That's the area that we're working with them. We've also got a work management platform for the guys out in the field where they can use mobile devices and that sort of thing. And we've got a digital twin platform as well. RedEye themselves, we've got sort of multiple mining clients around the world. That's where RedEye was born from, to help with that sort of thing. For me personally, a digital twin, I see that as being sort of it's really a digital representation of a real life asset. So that's sort of from having a 3D model with design data that's in that 3D model. And from RedEye's point of view, one of the major things that we've been doing in the digital twin area is around sort of drag lines. So with the mining industry, we've got a client we've been working with on drag lines, which is effectively a large excavator. That's the best way of describing it. This equipment's worth over $100 million, so it's really expensive. And effectively what we did, we created a 3D model of the asset, and then we applied an asset hierarchy. They can actually do work on the asset based on the information that they're getting from the digital twin. And we even had a graduate engineer who was working with one of our clients. They actually understood what a dragline was before they actually got to site. So it gives you that sort of visual of what the thing's really going to look like and what you're going to be dealing with before you get out there. I think one of the key things that's happened sort of over the last 10 years, I feel that sort of digital twin almost started off with the advent of BIM, which is sort of building information modeling. That was almost the start of where digital twin sort of came from. So BIM was really more around sort of collaboration and teamwork, doing the design work on new projects. And I think once they started getting additional data in, that then enabled more stakeholders to get involved. So I feel that one of the major things that's happened over sort of the last 10 years, you've gone from it being purely around the design to now being around upgrades, maintenance, planning, service, all that sort of thing, which I feel is more key for an asset owner. Because with the digital twin in the early stages, it's really sort of a 2-year, 3-year project in design. But then once you put the digital twin into that asset owner life cycle, you've got 50 years, 100 years, whatever it may be. So I think that's probably sort of the major difference that's happened over the last 10 years. I think from the mining side of things, a lot of it's sort of coming down to that maintenance planning and the cost savings that they can get from that. I think so. Some of the key areas is obviously around that maintenance planning and cost savings that they can get from that. Obviously, that's where they can save money. With one of our clients at the moment working on draglines, we're looking at the boom, so the big boom, which is this enormous structural part of the whole system. And if that fails, the mine site can go down for months. It's not something that gets replaced easily. When they have to order a new one, it takes quite a bit of time for them to get that piece of equipment in. And as I say, if that mine site's down for a long time, they've got serious problems. So the idea with the digital twin is you can try and preempt that. So it's all around that sort of preventative and predictive maintenance, so that you can try and sort out a problem before it actually happens. So that's one of the key things. The other thing that I think we need to sort of look at is the health and safety side of things. So obviously, if you've got a digital twin, you can start training people on the digital twin. They can see what's happening in the digital world before they even get out on site. So obviously, the mine site can be a dangerous place. If you can do a lot of work before you get out there, that's also going to be beneficial from a health and safety point of view. I suppose with the work that we're doing with draglines at the moment, that's a key area for us, because we can actually create that 3D model of existing assets. It means that you're digitizing the existing assets. So one of the key things that I think about is digital twin's great, but I think first of all you need to start looking at what you've already got, especially in the mining industry. There's a lot of aging assets, a lot of aging infrastructure. One of the things that we can do is basically start getting all that existing information. We can pull all the drawings and all the models into a platform, into a RedEye platform, which enables you to then find that information, enables you to store that information. So I think people really need to do that before going too far down the digital twin route. So get those existing assets and get some sort of control over them, get metadata into them so that you can find the information that you're looking for, get it all digitized, have it on that cloud-based sort of location, get version control, all that sort of stuff, so you can get to the single source of truth. So that's one of the first things that we do within RedEye. Yeah, so RedEye currently applies the digital twin technology to sort of some draglines. We're doing quite a bit of work with a mining client in Australia currently, and draglines effectively are virtually like a large excavator. That's essentially what they are, and they're worth sort of over $100 million. Really expensive equipment, and what we've done there is we've created a 3D model of that existing asset. That was the first thing that we did, because they just had drawings. They didn't have anything. So we did a point cloud scan as well. So we did drone footage to actually get that information. We then remodeled over the top of that point cloud so that you had a full 3D model of that existing asset. We then applied an asset hierarchy to that asset as well. And we went deeper than what most asset management systems tend to go. And the reason for that was we needed to get to that component level. So because we're doing work on the asset, you need the component level information. So what we then had the ability to do was pin issues to the 3D model. So when you look at the 3D model environment, you can see these issues that are around that 3D model. And they tend to be cracks at the moment. That's one of the things that we was looking at. So the guy out on site can measure the crack. And over time, you get to see the changes of that crack. So if it's going worse, once it gets to a certain point, you know that you've got to do some preventative maintenance, or you've got to actually make a change to that component. So that's one of the things that we're doing with the drag lines, and ultimately that then allows the mining client to plan the work better. They can visually see the status of the issues as they arise, because the guys out on site are doing that in real time with the mobile devices. And they can do maintenance planning on that digital twin as well before going to site. So that means that you can look at what's in the digital format, plan what you're going to do, then when you go out on site, you can actually then do the work. We actually had a graduate engineer at one of the sites with one of our clients, and she actually then understood what the drag line was and everything about the drag line before she actually got to site. So again, that brings you back to that health and safety and training and understanding of what's actually out there. It's a really difficult question because it can almost go anywhere. Because as the technology keeps improving at the rate that it is, I think there's lots of options. The bigger issue is going to be around security, I think, and cybersecurity, that sort of thing. So I think there's going to be lots that we can do, but it may get held back with certain cybersecurity issues, for example. So I'm seeing sort of nowadays that asset owners are starting to take more ownership of the digital thing, which they never used to worry about too much. And I think that's so that they can get all that data that's in the 3D model, whether it be design data or whether it be live data from the field. I think we're going to see more design simulations at the PCM design stage. So that's the design consultants. That's going to give better study results for the mining clients to decide what they need to do or what they shouldn't do. There'll be more input from a larger range of stakeholders, I think, as well. So we've got a client in a slightly different industry at the moment that we're doing quite a bit of work with at the pre-feasibility stage. And once you start having 3D models and digital twins that early on, you can actually start showing that to the public if you really want to. So it just brings more people into the whole design. Digital twin still at the moment tends to be at that design phase. I think it's going to move more into the existing assets phase, because especially for the mining guys, they've got a lot of existing assets. We can do drone footage now, we can do photogrammetry, we can remodel over the top of that relatively easily, get the data in there. So I think a lot's going to happen with that legacy asset side of things, which is where we actually are really strong. I think we're going to get more sort of bi-directional interaction as well between the digital twin and the asset. So you're going to start seeing the ability to control what's happening out on site with the digital twin itself. So that's going to be sort of a major change. Then I think we're going to sort of see the use of AI a lot more, machine learning. That's going to then start recommending changes to the plant equipment that's out on site. Or it could even actually perform those changes, but that's where this cybersecurity bit's going to start coming in. How far do you want to go to be autonomous? I think that's going to be the big question. It could go even further than that, depending what happens with technology. I think to have a platform that a lot of potential clients can be looking at and getting involved with, where you're going to get a lot of sort of industry type focus. So you're going to obviously it's going to be vendors, it's going to be software people like ourselves at RedEye. You're going to get the mining clients globally. So that's another thing, it's a global thing. So you're going to get global mining clients getting involved with OREN, being able to see what options are in there. So obviously from a RedEye point of view, being able to get out to that wider environment through a platform like this, rather than us trying to individually go to these different clients. It's great to have a platform that everybody sort of comes around to and everybody can have access to. Webinars like this, that enables you to get the information out there and professionally as well. So there's obviously that assistance to make it more professional. So I'll see that that's really where the benefit's going to come in for people like us and for the mining clients themselves.
I think from my perspective, I'd like to just to say how excited I am about the OREN marketplace, because as we move towards this future, the ecosystem and sharing of knowledge and digital assets is going to become more transparent and efficient and beneficial for all companies involved. So we'll see this ecosystem emerge through technologies and platforms like the marketplace, where we become a lot more collaborative and sharing of technologies such as digital twin. So really excited about it.
Right, and I'm going to echo those comments, because having spent more than 20 years in this industry, I feel like we're finally catching up with the rest of the world, if you will. And from an investor perspective, I think that makes it very exciting. It's almost like mining can now be spoken about in mainstream, because we're also digital. So that's exciting for me. Thank you for sharing those valuable insights. Today, we have learned of just a few ways in which these upcoming and frontier technologies are changing and disrupting the industry with the use of digital twinning. This highlights some of the key ways in which OREN's mission to promote the development and digitalization within the industry is helping organizations to tackle the big issues facing mining by providing a platform for these solutions. In our next webinar, we will be looking at IoT and sensor technology. But for now, thank you to our solutions providers today for sharing some practical implementations, and to all of those who joined us for this session. Goodbye for now.